So I'm just going to give 5. Let's see. Okay, yeah, this thing is still working. Okay, so what we're going to do now is like, no, so in this one, here we are printing the star, right? We are going to dynamically change that one. Okay, every time. It's not going to be static anymore. It's not going to be star for every rows. It's going to change it at every iteration. Okay, let's create a variable. Okay, now I'm just going to do something here. We have seen the topic. I'm not sure if you guys remember clearly or not. Okay, so what I'm going to do is like now I'm going to print a character. Okay, because basically this is just every A is a character, and then B is a character, C is a character. Okay, so I've told you in the previous sessions, when we looked at the integers and then the character data types, right? The character is also stored as a integers itself in the Java. So what I mean by that is like now, okay. So if you do this, right? I told you something about ASCII table later earlier, right? So okay, I'm going to do that ASCII table again. Okay. So if you say character A means like no, it is represented by 65 internally. So integer of 65, right? It is equivalent to character A in the if you're in the character world. Okay, because the computer basically the computer can understand only ones and zeros. Okay, so ones and zeros means like so it has to convert some of the character A into ones and zeros. How it does is like it first converts the character A into a decimal value, which is like any it's base 10. Okay, so it can be any number. Okay, 1 to 6, like 65, 66, like that. Then it converts the 65 into a binary. That's how the computer represents a character. Okay, so that's what they have done here. Okay, first a character is A means it represents 97, and then from there it will jump to the binary. Okay, now what I mean by that is like so if you have a character, say for example C means sorry, I'll just name this C. C2. First we need capital E. Okay, now if I print this one, so what I'm doing is like if I sorry, 1 second, I'll just print the CH. Okay, if I print the CH, what I'm going to get is like I'm just going to get just going to enter 5. So don't worry about the diamond. So whatever you have stored, you're going to get. Okay, so CH representation, it's just printing it out. But if you want to know what is the decimal representation of CH, right? You just need to typecast it to int. So CH will be converted into integer, which is A will be converted into integer, and then it will be printed. Okay, and this one again. So it says 65, right? That will match the ASCII table. So look for 65. Yeah, here is the 65, and the representation is A. You can pick anything. Okay, you can do the reverse also. You can do an integer and convert it into a character, and character into a thing. Okay, so if I say for example if I do S, right, I'm going to okay, so 83, and then representation is 83. Okay, I'm going to use this feature to do this program. Okay, I will show you how. Okay, now let's remove all these things. Okay, so for us, right, it's always going to start with the A. Okay, this this is always going to start with the A. Okay, so I will initialize this with the A. Okay. Now first change is like because I need to print the CH. Okay, whatever this character is representing. Okay, so what should happen for this one, right? At each iteration, each time when it prints, right, that should change to something else. First time, once it prints the CH, right, once it prints A, right, it has to this variable should change to B, and then once it prints B, right, it has to change to C. It should go on sequentially. Okay, now okay, so star. Okay, yeah, at any point, right? Say for example, for the when it is printing the first line, right? In our program, the star will decide how many number of stars is going to be there. Okay, I thought I remember this change this to star count actually. Okay, let me, yeah, okay, you guys know what star means here. Okay, the star variable represents how many number of stars needs to be printed. Okay, so at first iteration, why I initialized star as 1, right? When for the first time when this row is getting printed, right, how many stars is there going to be? There's going to be only 1 star, so that's why 1. And in the second iteration, I'm incrementing that star by variable by 2. So because in the second iteration, the number of stars is going to be 3, and it goes on sequentially, 1, 3, 5, 7, it goes on like that. Okay, so this star represents how many stars that is going to be printed on the screen. Okay, again the same thing, that's also that star here in our program, right? The star is going to represent how many number of characters that are going to be printed on the screen. Okay, now so okay, so first what should happen is, like, now once A is printed, right, then it should for the next iteration it shouldn't print A anymore, it should print B. Okay, so what we can do is, like, no, it's simple. Okay, what we have to do is, like, no, ch is equal to once again, I think I'm missing something. Okay, this is the first. Okay. Now, okay. So let's break it down. What has happened here? Okay. Now, this is the first bit, which is okay. This may look complicated statement, but it's really simple. Okay, it's nothing complicated. Okay, in this statement, right, in the starting class itself, when we saw about the scopes, right, what I told you was the innermost thing will get executed first. Okay, what is the innermost thing? This is the int. Okay, so just go one step after that. Okay, so this will be the first thing which will get executed. Okay, so what I'm doing here, what I'm doing here is, like, now I'm converting the ch into int. Okay, when I convert this, what is this? When I convert the ch into int, means, like, now what will happen is a will be converted into 65. Okay, in this step. Now after that, what I'm doing is, like, now this will happen. Okay, now 65 will be incremented. What will happen? 65 will become 66. Okay, and then I'm converting that 66 into a character again. What is 66? 66 is a B. Okay, so it is converted into a B. That's how it goes, and then it keeps on going on. In the next iteration, so B will become C, C will become D, D will become E, like that. It keeps on going on. Again, you can do negative also, -1 also. It's not a problem. Okay. Now, again, this may look like a complicated. If you understood the typecasting clearly, means, like, no, and then sit down and see what's being done here. Just think, keep typecasting in your mind and see this statement. You will understand clearly what's going on. Okay, I will do one more thing for you guys to clearly understand. Okay, so this thing, what is happening here is, like, now in the above statement, right, it's like this. Okay,
sorry, Bala.
Yeah,
so you basically changing character into integer and then integer again into character.
Yes, exactly. Because I want to do some mathematical operation. You can't do mathematical operation on a character, so I'm converting that character into a integer. On integer, I can do mathematical operation, which is incrementing, and then I'm converting back it to the character. That's the reason. I'm
Yeah.
going to break that statement into multiple statements here in the next, simply just to so you guys understand actually. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Bala, without typecasting also, if you give character, it's printing as A. So why, like, whatever you are giving, it's giving the value as a character. So why we are doing the typecasting
No,
here?
because that's what I want to increment. So once it prints out A, right, I want that character to become as B, the ch variable, right? I want this to change B. How you will change into
Okay.
how you can change that to B, right? You can do this kind of that, because we understood how A is being stored in the background. So we are just kind of manipulating in the, because the reason is like, no, Rajni, this A is represented as 65, right? And then
Yeah.
if we say 66 in a character, right, that will be automatically represented as B. So
Yes.
it keeps on going on.
Instead of specifying every time A, B, C,
Exactly.
you are just giving the loop so
Yes.
that it will take it.
It
Okay.
will
I
automatically
got
done.
it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to break down that statement into multiple statements now. Okay, so that you guys can really understand. Okay, first what I'm doing is like, no, I'll just comment out this one because I'm going to do that same thing here in the multiple ones. Okay, first I'm converting this character into an integer and saving it here. Okay, now I'm going to increment this character. Sorry, increment this integer. Okay, and then I'm saving it back on the character. That's it. These three steps, right, are being done in that single step. Okay, so first what I've done is I've just converted. So this will say this ch, right, this a, right. So what is the value is 65. Okay, first I'll put a simple println statement in each step. Sorry, okay. I'm going to break it, and I'm going to insert a break and then show you guys. It's taking some time to start the debug. Okay. I'm going to enter something here. Okay, 5. Okay, now, so okay, you see this, right? Where the debugger itself, like now, it says that we have stored ch as a, right, but the internal representation is 65. That's why it's showing 65 also. It's not a and 65 is stored in that one. Okay, it just a is stored and its representation is 65. Okay, now what I'm doing is like, now there is no variable called as temp because we haven't created yet. Actually, if I execute this line, a temp will be created now. Okay, now this I have to go. Okay. Now, okay, temp has created. What we have done is like, now we have typecasted ch into an integer which will be 65 and then storing in the temp. Okay, now if I print out, so don't worry about it. Okay, we get 65. That's what printed. Okay, temp is got printed. And if I step over one more step, now we have incremented temp to 66. Okay, step over, you'll get 66 as printed out. Okay, step over. Now ch, if you look at the ch, right, it would have become b by now. Okay, because you have 66 representation is b. That's it, you'll get b. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay, now I'm just going to comment. I'm just going to remove this. I'm just going to comment out these statements. I'm going to leave it here, but okay. Okay. So initially, when you do programs, right, don't worry if you do it in multiple lines. Okay, it is best to do it in this way so that, like, no, you guys will know what you are doing. But once you get experience, right, you can start combining multiple lines into a single line, which will save time for you, which will be more organized, and then it will take less time to execute also. Okay, now, okay, so yeah, what we have done is like, now first once we print a, right, next time it will become b. Okay, now only that another logic what we talked about comes into picture. What is that logic is, right? Okay, so you can't. So if I, okay, I'll show you how this works. Okay, now if I remove, so ABC, and same should happen here as well. And then we should initialize CH every time. Why I'm doing this is like, I'll show you why I'm doing this. Why I'm doing this is right now because every iteration, right? In every row, the first character should be A. It should always start with A. That's why I'm doing it with A. Because the reason is like now CH will keep on changing. Okay, once it prints out the whole row, right? When it comes to the next row, right, it should again start with A. That's why I've initialized again with the A. Okay. Now I'm just going to run this one. Okay, see this one, right? First it has printed A. We haven't done this one completely yet, but we have done half of it. Okay, first it has printed A, then it has printed ABC, ABCDE, ABCDFG. It is sequentially increasing like this. Okay, now you can go any bigger actually. Like this. Okay, so she can say ABC, ABCDE, FG, HI. It keeps on increasing. Okay, I assume till now everyone understood what we have done here. Okay, now we have to change this program a little bit so that we can achieve this goal. Okay, only it should till in the middle it should print out. Okay, once it crosses the half portion of it, right, it should start going down. The character should, what I mean by that is like, no, it should print ABC. So this row contains one character. Okay, so if this row contains 3 characters, again the same logic. Okay, so 3 characters means 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Round it off, you get 2. So it should print 2 times AB, and then after 2 times it should start to go down. So you take 1 3 5 7 9. In 9 means 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. Round it off, you get 5. So it should print 5, A, B, C, D, E, and then afterwards it should start to go down. Okay, we are going to implement that logic also. It's really simple, that logic also. Okay, so at which variable represents how many characters are going to be printed? The star count. Okay, the star variable, that identifies you how many characters that are going to be printed here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is like star. It's always going to be odd numbers, so it's going to, okay. I'm just going to name this first half. Okay, okay, so when it comes for the first time, right, what will be here is when the star was 1, right, 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. so we know that integer can't handle floating point, so 0.5 will be converted into 0. It won't do any kind of rounding off, it will just drop the values. Okay, so it will have, you'll have only 0. Okay, so 0 will be printed. Sorry, first half will have 0 there. Okay, now so I will finish this one and then explain to you guys how it is done. Okay, star 0, star 3. Okay. Let's do this one and see if the logic is correct. Oh no, okay, that's why. J will be 0, J will be the second iteration, J will be 1, is less than iteration. 3, it's a 1.5, so it will become 1, 2, printed, 2. Once again, this should have gone down to minus 1. Why it didn't go down? Is 0, right? Yeah. The start is 1. Oh, it is rounding off. Okay, it is rounding off. Okay, it's now, that's what I thought. It won't round off. Okay, it is rounding off. Okay, see this one, right? I haven't done for the second half. See, the first half the logic works. Okay, it's A B, A B C, then it starts to go down, and then if you do it for bigger values also it okay. The mistake what I did is like, no, initially, because I thought what will happen is like, no, if you do, say in the starting it will be 1, right? 1 divided 2 is 0.5. Okay, so if it's a 0.5, right, I thought that it will be 0, but it is rounding off and storing the value in an integer. So that's what I did actually, because that is the reason why I was rounding off in the next step myself actually, rather than it doing it. Okay, I will explain to you guys what is happening here. Okay, it's whatever logic we just discussed it. Okay, so what I said was, let's go back to this one. What I said was, so if it's 3 means you have to divide by 2. So 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. So round it off, you get 2. So till two characters should be printed, A, B, and then afterwards it should start to go down. Okay, it's same thing for 7. Say for example, if it's a 9 means like, no, if you got 9 characters means like, no, 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. Round it off, it's 5. So what should happen is like, no, you should print A, B, C, D, E. Afterwards it should start to go down. What is next? What is 1 less than E? It's D, C, B, A. It should go down like that. Okay. So what I've done is like, no, star will represent how many characters are going to be there in each row. Okay. When it comes for the first time, right, what will happen is like, no, 1 will come. So 1 divided by 2 is 0.5, and then it is rounding off itself, and then so 0.5 is rounded off is 1. So first half will become 1. So what will happen? Okay, and then here what j represents is like, no, j represents at the moment where the index is, which I am printing out. When I say index means like, no, say for example, you see this whole line, right? Each time what j represents is like, no, when it's printing out the characters, right? J represents what character it's going to print out. So when it prints in this row, when it prints first time a, right, j will represent 0. Then b, when it is printing out b, it will represent 1. Sorry, excuse me. J will represent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It goes on like this. Okay, j represents which index of the item is currently getting printed on the screen. Okay, so if j is if j is less than, j hasn't crossed our index means, okay, just open this one. Okay.
So sorry, Bala. So integer always will round up.
Yes, I think so. I will confirm that in a minute. Actually, once I'm done with this program, right, we will do some more things and then confirm it. Okay, because I thought it will integer, the decimal part will always be dropped. Okay, in the integer. Okay, I think it is get rounded off. That we will confirm it in a minute. Okay, once we do this one. Okay, yeah. So yeah. So that's what I'm dividing by 2. So what I'm getting is, so I'm getting 1. So for the first time I'll get 1. 1 will be stored here. So j will represent what item I'm getting currently printing out. So 0 will be less than 1. So once I print, so I would have printed a here itself. I will print out, this will get, the ch will become b, and then it will come here. It will do the loop for second time. Then what will happen? J will get incremented. So j will become 1. 1 is less than 1. No, it's not. So it will come outside. It won't print anything afterwards. So first row is done. Okay, it says printed a. When for the second iteration, right, star will become 3 because star will be incremented 2 times. Okay, plus 2. Star will become 3. Again, this will start. Okay, and I've initialized ch with a again. Okay, so again a will be printed for the first time, and then it will come inside. So 0. So first half will be calculated. So what star is this time is 3. Okay, so 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 1.5 rounded off is 2. So first half will become 2, and then j, it will first time when it comes for the first iteration, right? So 0 is less than 2. It's absolutely fine. So ch will get incremented by 1, and then it will go for the second iteration. Because we know that star is 3, right? So it is going to again execute one more time. Okay, when it executes one more time, right, what is ch you have incremented as? ch you have incremented as b. So b will be printed. Okay, again it goes on, and then this thing doesn't change. Okay, again it's star divided by 2 is going to get 1.5 rounded off. It's 2. Again 1 is less than 2. Yes, it is. So you will increment it. Star is, oh yeah, star is what will star be now? Star will be again 3. So 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 1.5 rounded off is 2, and then j will be 1 this time, and then 1 divided by 1 is less than 2. So this will again get incremented. It will become c, and then it keeps on going on like this. Okay, now when this portion will get executed, right, when you have done the 1/2, right, that's what, when the index has crossed this bit, right, so it has printed a and it has printed b. When the index, when the j is representing, j is going to print, j represents this one, right? At that time, this condition won't be satisfied anymore, because it's, if j is here means like it will be 3. Star divided by 2 is 2, right? 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, rounded off is 2. So this won't be, 2 is not less than 3 is not less than 2. So this will get executed. When this get executes, right, it will be decremented from this point onwards, right? It will start decrementing. That's what happening here. Okay, now I'm just going to copy this and then put that in the down also, so that I think it's completed. I need to replace this bit. Oh no, what happened here? Oh, yeah, should be opposite way. No, it shouldn't be. So yeah,
I'm just wondering, what if you're gonna put like number 4? If you're gonna have equals, so if you're gonna, so it shouldn't be like j less equals first half.
yeah. Oh, you mean to say that if the size is 4?
Yeah, if the size is 4, because then if you divide this by 2, so
Yes,
just
it
was just
will be.
wondering.
Yes, yeah. No, we will see. We will enter a even number and see what's going. Well, let's finish this up, and then we'll give an even number and see how it will handle. Okay. Just style. Okay, first down from image basically. Yeah, it's got all the spaces correctly. Then actually listen star. That's when stars will be printed out. Oh, I haven't done the printout statement. Forgot to copy this statement. That's why nothing is getting printed. Okay, so we have accomplished what the program is, so what that thing is asked us to do. Okay, now you see this, right? ABC, ABA, ABC, BA. Yeah, great for that one, right? Even numbers won't be a problem because even numbers represent the number of rows. It doesn't represent the number of characters printed. Number of characters printed, right? It will be always be in odd, because even if you give 4, right, it will have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, but still the number of characters will be always be odd because you are incrementing by 2. So you are starting with 1 and incrementing by 2. So in that case, right, 1 will become 3, 3 will become 5, 5 will become 7. Okay, it will never go even. So that's why you will never have a 0 or anything even number here.
Okay.
You understood, right? That one, right?
Yeah, I think I understood. Yes.
Yeah.
So if you try now, if you try now,
I will try now. I'll 4
Yeah.
now, because the 4 represents the number of the 4 represents number of rows. It doesn't represent number of characters.
Yeah, I understand. That's
Yeah.
not the stars. Yes,
Yeah.
I understand. Okay.
If I give 4, right, it's going to be exactly.
Yeah, that will just number of rows. Yeah, of
Yes.
course. That does make sense now. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Now, so I'm going to upload this program also again into this one. Okay. It's a once you if you understood the diamond, right, just try to think of what's being done here. Okay. If you still have any confusion, right, in the next class also we will see some more in a different way. I try to explain this one. Okay. What sort of sorry. I'm doing one more program, right? What was it? 29. Yeah. This is just counting the number of characters. It's really simple. Okay. Now, let me open a. Okay. You guys understood the logic, right? Because if you really if it's still not able to grasp, means like, no, look back at the video, and in the video I've explained quite a lot of times actually, partially what is the logic, why we are dividing it by 2, and how we are what is the logic, and because that's how you should do the problem, how you normally do a problem solving is like, no? First in your mind you have to work out, okay, what is the solution for the problem, then implement it. Okay, just write it in a small paper and pen. Okay, it's like a math problem solution. Okay, write it in a paper and then try to implement it. Okay, don't directly go and test the computer and start writing there. For whenever you want to do some logic or do some program, right, if you know exactly what you need to do, then start working on the editor. Okay, if you don't know the if you don't have a clear picture of what is the logic is going to be, right, first take a paper and then write down the logic, then implement it. Okay, I'm just going to do this program really quickly. This is a really simple one to do that. just going to put count. See here, because I didn't use int, I used long because the user can enter really big values. Okay, that's why I used long. Okay, now what we have to do is, like, now we just need to count out how many characters are there in this one. Okay, now I'm going to open an infinite for loop. Okay, if I put this right, we know that it's never how the while works is, until unless there should be a condition here, like I less than 1 or something like that. So until unless this condition is true, right, the while loop is going to keep on get executed. So if you put a true here, means like, no, it's going to be a infinite loop. This loop will never be end. Okay, if I write, if you print out anything here, means like, no, it's going to complain that this is unreachable code, because it will never, the program, right, it will never reach here, because this loop is never going to end. No. So whatever the user have entered, right, I'll just do that first.
So Bala, that means we need to use break at the end.
Better? Oh yes, exactly, very good. Yeah, we have once we are done with the whatever operation, right, we will using a break. Okay, that's right. Okay, let me think of a logic. How do we calculate it? Okay, first we break it down. By 10 modulus of 6. Okay. Sorry. Sorry, this logic won't work. Just this will give me Okay. So just give me some time, guys. I'm just thinking actually. Okay, this may include shift operators. I haven't covered the shift operators for you guys actually. Okay, I will just think of once before the end of the session. Right, I'll just think of a way how to do it without the shift operators, and then I will show you. Okay, I'll jump into the actual session what I wanted to cover now because it's getting late actually. Okay, so I will jump there and then I will try to cover that one in the end. Okay, because I can't think of a logic without using the shift operators. Okay, there must be a way to do it without the shift. When I say shift operating is like now you can look into that one if you have a free time. It's just integer shifting. It's pushing out values. Okay, so if you do the shift, when I say shifting means like 1 2 5 4 6 3, right? It will become as 1 2 5 4 6, and then it will become 1 2 5 4. It will become 1 2 5. There must be a logic to do that without the shift operators. Okay, we will cover it, but first I want to show you guys about what is class and everything. Okay, first one topic. Okay, no, there is. Okay, I'm just going to write down here whatever I'm going to say. Okay, now. Okay, let's see what is class, and I'm going to explain to you guys what is class and what is objects, how they are pertinent to the Java programming, and how the whole Java programming is built around that one. Okay, so this is really important topic. You guys really need to understand, and then it's really simple topic as well. And this simple concept only makes difference between Java and C and C++. Okay, C doesn't have objects or classes. Okay. C++ first introduced classes and objects, and Java built on that one. Okay, so you think like this. Okay, C++, Java, right? C++ can do without classes, and then so the reason is like now because C was really popular when they introduced C++, right? C++ has got classes and objects, so they really want to maintain C as well. So in C++ you can do without the class and objects also, you can write programs. But when they introduced Java, right, they completely stripped down everything. Okay, in Java, right, everything is classes, everything is class and objects is involved. Okay, till now whatever we did, right, indirectly classes and objects were involved. Say for example, take any program we see. Okay, the first line, right, first line of the program, don't worry about this one. Okay, the first line of the program, right, it will always start with a class. Whenever you want to write any executable code in the Java, right, it has to be within a class. Okay, in any program we build today, okay, the first line will be the class. Okay, we will create a class, and then inside the class only you can do everything whatever you want to do. Okay, now I will tell you what is actually class means. Okay, now I just told you Java is completely built on classes and objects. Okay, now I will tell you what is class and what is the object, what is the difference between both of them. Okay, now class, think like class is just a template, and then object as a state of the template. Okay, what I mean by template and state of the template is like class represents a character, basically a set of characteristics. Okay, so when I say set of characteristics, like think like human body itself. Okay, okay, human body itself. Okay, so what are the things really important for the human body? There's only always in any things. If you take anything, TV or any item around your house or anything, right, there's only two important things are required in that. First one is memory, another is operations. Okay, why I give you, for example, someone comes and asks you what is your name, is like your mouth is going to say the answer, and then from where your mouth is going to get the answer from your brain, because your brain has stored information there, something. Okay, so when someone comes and asks you what is your name, if I answer my name is Bala, means like what has happened is like my mouth has replied something, where I got the information from. I have stored the information in my brain, and then I have accessed it and then given to you. So there is in any instance, right, only two things is pertinent to any item. Okay, one is the memory, another is the certain operations done on that memory, based on that memory. Okay, so those are the why I told you those two things. Like when I say memory means like what is memory in our programming? It is just variables. Okay, int A, int B, string, everything, those are all variables, those are all memories. Okay, those are all the things what we use to store certain items in our Java programming. Okay, so when I say memory, it's nothing but variables. Okay, now what is another thing? Operations means like operations is nothing but functions. what is function means, so sorry, what is function means? Function means it's a set of operations you do, set of lines of code you execute. Okay, say for example in this main itself is a function. Okay, because the reason is we haven't covered these two, but we have covered this one. Okay, we did methods right separately. Yeah. So in this one, the calculator, what calculator does, it's the calculator is a method, and then it has got set of operations. Okay, so when I say operation means like, no, method is really the operations, and then variables are the memories. Okay, so in a class, right, class can have only two things. One is variables, another is methods. Okay, these are the only two things are required in a class. You don't need anything else other than that, and those are the only two things you can have in a class. Okay, so class is just a template, and object represents state of the template. Okay, so we haven't covered this one yet. When I say template in the sense, right, now class is just a template, right? Okay, and then have numbers. Variables and methods. Okay, so there can be only two items in a class. One is variables and methods. Okay, I will explain to you why I call class as a template. Okay, now okay, first write a simple class. Okay, now I'm going to write one class called as vehicle. Okay, as explained to you, right? Okay, how do you, if I remove all these things, right, I will remove all these things. Okay, how do you define a class? Is like, no, it's really simple. You just need to use the keyword class, and then followed by the class name. What is going to be the class name? Okay, that's it, as simple as that. Okay, you just need to start it with the keyword class, and then you need to follow it with the name of the class. Okay, now what we saw here, class can have two things. One is variables and methods. Okay, let's create what are the variables can be in the vehicle. What are the properties? When I say variables in the, no, there's nothing but properties. Okay, so what are the properties of the vehicle? Say for example color. Okay, so I'll create a variable called as color. Okay, and what else it can be? Maximum speed. Okay, max speed. Okay, and what else? How many doors? Okay, number of seats and number of doors. Okay, sorry, I'll just put doors. Okay, seats. Okay, now say for example these are the various properties of the vehicle. Okay, and what are the operations you can do in the vehicle? You can do a lot of things. Okay, you can press the accelerator, and then you can press the brake, and then you can turn the steering wheel. Those kind of operations you can perform on the vehicle for certain things. Okay, now what you will do is like, okay, I can do something like current speed. Okay, now okay, let's do accelerator and brake alone. Okay, let's create a function. Those are the operations that can be performed in the vehicle, right? There are multiple operations. Let's do those two operations simply first. Okay, so what you will do is like, no, how do we define a method? First you just because if you want to do any return type, if I don't want to return any values, means I have to start with void and then type accelerator. I'm not sure about the spelling of that. Okay, so so accelerator means like, no, if someone press accelerator means what should happen is current speed should go up, right? I will just increment the current speed by 1. Okay, I'll just do press here. Okay, now so when I press accelerator, current speed will go up, and then when I press brake, current speed will go down. Okay, and then we know the odometer, speedometer, right? So that will display what is the current speed. Okay, so and it's going to print out the current speed. Okay. And if someone asks what is the color of the car means, so color of the car means we know what the color is going to be. It's going to be stored here, right? So we'll just print out the color. That's it. Okay. So now we have defined. We haven't used these things yet, but we will. But so this represents a very, very simple class. Okay. As I told you guys, right? So class is nothing but a template. Don't worry, I haven't explained why I call this as template. Okay. So class can have two things. Okay, one is the variables, which acts as a memory, which are the properties of that class, and then various operations that are going to be performed on the properties of that class. Okay, so those are the only two things. These are the only two things. Basically, if you see any class, right, you're going to see only these two things. Okay, pick up in anything tomorrow. If you have an automation pack or something built in, any project you got, right, Java project you got, right, download and see, open any class, open anything, okay, any file, right. What was the file we were operating on? Yeah, open any file, right, you will see something called as class, and then you will see only these two things, and these two things are the only things required to do the whole Java programming itself. You don't need anything more than this. Okay, all the things, whatever you're going to do, right, it's going to be either be variables or else methods. These are the only two things you require in a class, and then with these two itself we can do everything in our Java program. That's how flexible Java is. That's like a small building block. With the building block we have built on everything. Okay, now why I keep on calling the class as a template means, like, no. Okay, now I'm going to create one more. This is the class I created. Okay, I'm just going to put this public. I'll explain down the classes. We will see why it is. Okay, now these things are bit cloudy, right? Okay, 1 second. I'll just do one small thing. Okay, we have got one class called as vehicle. I've created it. Now I'm going to use that class. Okay, how do I use that class? Is like, no, I'm just going to create one more. I'll call this as main. Okay, simple. See this one. This is the one which Java is going to execute. This itself is again just a class and a method. Why I haven't explained the main method and what is the importance of that is, like, no, because once you guys understood what is static and public means, then only you can really understand what is the purpose of the main and how it is called by Java. That's why I haven't covered it yet. Okay, down when I explain to you what is static and public, right, then I explain how the Java architecture works on the main program. Okay. At this moment, just remember this main is the point where the entry point for the Java program. Okay, whenever you may wonder, okay, you got so many files, which file you got? So if I have another function, right, you can have as many functions as you want in a class, right? You can have again, like, simply like this, and then you can. You can keep going on. Okay, now you can ask a question, how do Java know that which function it should start with? It will always start with this main. Okay, that word, you can't repeat that word. Okay, you can't use that in any other namings. Okay, that's kind of a reserved word as well, actually, in the execution line of work. Okay, now I will explain to you deeper and clearly how it is getting used in the Java program, in the JVM concept, once we see what is public and static means. Because if I explain now how the main is getting used, right, you won't understand clearly. Okay, without knowledge of what is static and main. Okay, now, so what I'm going to do now is, like, now, initially, for example, when we want to create a memory, when we want to create a variable, how we do is we just simply type int a. That's it. A has been created. what has happened, once this line is executed means like, no, Java will immediately allocate 2 bytes to the A. That's the end of it. Okay, you don't need to do anything. Then you can start using the A directly here. Okay, you can start storing values. Okay, but for the class, that is not the case, because class is nothing but just a blueprint of the state. Okay, when I say blueprint, right, say for example, if you want to build a house, right, first what you will do is like, you will drop a blueprint of the house, how the house is going to be, what are the room sizes, how many rooms are there going to be, where the toilet is going to be, where the bedroom is going to be, everything, all the information is going to contain in the blueprint. But you can't actually go and live in the blueprint, because blueprint is just a representation of what it is going to be. So first what you have to do is like, you have to convert the blueprint into a real object. Then only you can actually start using that object. So remember this thing really clearly. Okay, class is nothing but a blueprint. Okay, at the moment class doesn't, when you create a class, right, class really doesn't exist anywhere. It's just a representation of something. Okay, if you want to use that class means like, you have to allocate memory, you have to create memory and everything to it. So how you do it is like, you have to convert that blueprint into a real object. So you have to create an object for that class, then only you can start using that class. Okay, that's why I call that class as a template or blueprint. Okay, I'll put that statement here also. Okay, blueprint. Okay, it's nothing but that. Okay, so think like this. Okay, if you have a blueprint of a house, right, you can't go and live in that paper, you live in that blueprint. Okay, you have to convert that blueprint into an object to actually, you have to convert that blueprint into a real house to go and live in that house, right? So that is what the class is. So class at the moment, right, there doesn't anything there in the memory. When you execute this main, right, there isn't anything like vehicle in the memory. Okay, so if you want to use a vehicle, if you want to create a vehicle, right, we have to, what we have done is like, we have created a blueprint of a vehicle. Okay, we have designed a vehicle here, but we haven't really created the vehicle yet. Okay, we have just done the blueprint of the vehicle, we haven't really created the vehicle yet. So when we want to create a vehicle, right, we want to convert this blueprint into a real object. How do you do it is, this is the way. Okay, so this is the difference between the primitive data types and the classes. Okay, so to create a memory in primitive data, all you have to do is declare. Okay, now so you type the class name and what is the object name you want to be, just to VC. Okay, if I do this, right, nothing has happened here. Okay, so you have just declared it, you haven't created an object yet. You have to be really clear. That's the difference between the primitive data type and this one. So if I type int a, means like, now at this point itself a has been created. Okay, there has been 2 bytes to be allocated to a. You can start using a directly, but you can't, you can start using the a directly, but after doing this, right, you can't use the v. See, because if I do this, right, why? See, it won't allow you. Okay, because it's saying that VC might not be initialized. Okay, because VC doesn't have, it's not initialized yet. Okay, VC doesn't really exist. You have just declared a variable. Okay, you have to create that object. When I say create an object means like, there is two parts always in creating an object. One is declaration, another is definition. Okay, in the primitive data types, all you need to do is like, declare. You don't need to define in the same line. Okay, you don't need to define in the same line for the object also, but you have to allocate memory to it to start using the object. So how do you actually create an object? So what I'm trying to tell you guys is like, at this point, right, you've just said that there is going to be an object of type vehicle, but you haven't really created the object yet. To really create an object, right, you have to do it like this. Okay, I'll explain to you what it is. Okay, so you have to tell new. This is going to be a new. There's going to be a new means like, it's always used for object. To create an object, this is, you just need to blindly remember it. Okay, when this is just a declaration, when you want to really create an object, right, you have to use a keyword called new, and then you have to put the class name and then the double braces. Okay, this is constructor. We will see in the next class what constructor and everything means. Okay, just blindly believe for this session, this is the way you will create an object. Okay, so let's break down into two separate lines. Okay. So first we have declared it and then we have created it. It's absolutely fine. You can do it. So if you try to do vc dot, try to access a variable without actually creating an object. So when someone says like, no, create an object, right? Sorry. If you do this step alone, right now you haven't really created an object, you have just declared the object. Okay, to really create an object, right, you have to create a memory for the VC. When I say memory, in the sense like, no, so when you do this, right, when you create an object, right, what happens is in the background is, right, no, so you go and see here, right, at that time only, so what is int means 2 bytes will be allocated to this one, 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 and string is it's a dynamically growing ones, so it starts with 2 bytes and keeps on going on. Okay, so all this memory space will be allocated at this step. Okay, at this step nothing will happen. Okay, no memory allocation would have happened, it would have just been declared. Okay, when I say declare means, like, declare is nothing but simply saying that, okay, I am going to create an object and that object is going to be of type this class. Okay, so what I've said is, right now I'm going to create an object called VC, and that object is going to be of type vehicle. That's what you have done. You haven't really created an object yet, you have just declared that object. When you will be really creating an object is when you execute the statement, when you do a new and then the class name, right, then only you will be really creating an object. Now if you can, now you can access these things. Okay, if I do color, right, I can do this. See, now it's not complaining. But if I do the same thing here, right, it will complain. See this one, that's one. Okay, now what is the now? Okay, now that is why I call that as template. Okay, now why I call that object is a object represents the state of the template is like, now say for example there are two, you want to create two different types of vehicles. Okay, so one vehicle is going to be I'm just going to put one more additional character here. What type of vehicle this is going to be? Okay, it's going to print out type. Okay, now okay, now say for example I want to create two different types of vehicles. Okay, one is going to be what car we can take. Okay, why I can't think of any cars. Okay, one is going to be of BMW, another is going to be of think Audi. Okay, so how I will do is like, now I've created a first I'll name it like that itself. Okay, okay, I'll do VC1 simply because I don't want to name it as BMW. Okay, to be more obvious. Okay, so vehicle 1, right, I'm going to assign certain values to this property, certain properties to this one. Okay, so what type of car this is going to be? It's going to be BMW. Okay, now BMW. Now what's color going to be? I can do any color, so let's say blue. Okay, now what's the maximum speed is going to be? So it's an integer, right? So max speed is going to be 120. Okay, now let's say how many doors are there? Say for example it's 2 doors. This is one more thing to say, a thing to seat. Okay, seat is going to be, say for example, how many number of seats? Let's say 4 seats. Okay, now I've created one object. Okay, let's create another object called Audi, of type Audi. Okay, I will copy the same code to this. And it's going to be Audi. It's going to be in red color. Top speed is 420. 4 doors. 6 seats. Okay. Now, so what I mean by template or blueprint, and then the state of the template means like, no. So vehicle is nothing but just a template or a blueprint. Okay, it doesn't have any real values in it. You know that what are the values, what type of values are going to be there, but there are no real values. when I say what type of values means like, no, we know that there's going to be a color, there's going to be a type of the vehicle, there's going to be a max speed variable and everything, but we don't know what is going to be the real values of it, okay, because you can initialize, but we don't know anything about it. So when you create an object, right, then only that class becomes really starting to exist in the memory, then only the class becomes really exists in the real world, okay. And then now you can assign certain properties to it, certain values to your class. Say for example, what type of car is going to be, what color is going to be, what the maximum speed is going to be. So it represents the state of that class, state of the template, okay. So when I say blueprint in the sense like, no, think of when you are building a house, right? So you're going to say how many number of rooms is going to be, and everything will be represented. So when you come and create a real memory, when you put woods and bricks to that blueprint, right, then only it becomes real object, okay. That it's exactly the same thing here also, okay. In the class, right, class doesn't have any real things in it, okay. It just represents what are the things that are going to be in the real time, okay, but it doesn't have any real time values, okay. So when you create an object for it, like, then you can store real values into it. So that's why it is called as a state of that. That's why I call the object as a state representation of a certain element, so of a class, of a template, state representation of a template, okay. That's why I call it that. Now okay, now let's see what are the operations we can do. So what we have done here is like, now we have created two vehicles from the class. We have allocated that class into a memory. Sorry, when I say we have created class means like, no, I've allocated memory to that class, and then it has become an object. Now I can store values into that object, okay. So when I store values into the object means like VC1 is I have got two objects here. VC1 is one object and VC2 is one object, okay. VC1 represents a state. In that state, right, in that state the vehicle is going to be BMW and then blue color and then all those properties, and the VC2 is another state of that same class, and then that state is going to contain its type of Audi and then red 140 to everything, okay. Now so let's see, let's do some operations on it, okay. Now if I do VC1, say for now the real car exists, right, I can start driving the car, okay. So if I press accelerator, right, 1 second, if I do VC1 dot, if I check the sorry, what is the, I thought we put the speedometer, yeah, okay. If I check the speedometer, right, current, say for example the current speed starts with I'm already driving, okay. So current speed is going to start, so for example I'm driving at 60 kilometers per second, okay. Okay, the current speedometer is going to do 60, okay. If I press accelerator, right, what the speedometer will say, speedometer will keep on increasing, okay. So if I run this one, right, see this one, when the speedometer first read, right, it was 60, okay. After I pressing the accelerator, after an operation has been done on my object, what that operation does is increase the speed, okay, by 1, okay. So let's go back to the main, okay. Once you do this operation, right, the current speed will become as 61. Now the state, when I say 61 in the sense like, no, the state of that class has changed, okay, the state of that object has changed, okay. Now what has happened is, when I say the state has changed means the current speed from 60 it has gone to 61, okay. So the accelerator has when you give an accelerator, right, speedometer has started to read as 61, okay. As simple as this, okay. Now if you you can press accelerator how much ever you want, okay. If you do this a couple of times, right, accelerator a couple of times, just do space so that you guys can see clearly, okay. Now if I check the speedometer, it's going to say, if I went again, so it started with 60, and then I gave one accelerator and then checked the speedometer, it was 61, and then I pressed the accelerator 3 times and then checked the speedometer, it was 64. That's absolutely fine. Now if I press brake, the speed will start to come down, right. So see, for example, after you check the speedometer here, it was 64, and then when you press brake, the speed has started to come down. That's as simple as that. So what basically this demonstrates, right? This is what you have done here is like, no, you have created an object for a vehicle, and then using that vehicle, right, you have assigned some properties to that vehicle, to that object, and you have performed certain operations on that object. That's all you have done. Okay. And this simple concept, right, simple concept comes everywhere in the Java programming. Okay, all over, on all the whole Java programming, right, all the Java thing. Tomorrow when if you go to your office, right, if anything, any project, any Java project, you open and see, right, you'll see only two things there. Okay, there will be only one thing first, that's class. Everything is a class. If you open any file, right, it will have a class, and it will have only two things inside in it. One is variables, another is operations. One is, when I say operations, it's methods. Okay, that's all it will have. When I say operations or functions, right? When I say operations, it means methods or function. When I say methods or function, right now, they exist there because you want to perform certain operation on the properties of the class. When I say properties, right, properties is nothing but variables. Okay, so these are the variables, and these are the operations I'm going to do on these variables. Okay, so that's all the classes. Okay, so this doesn't have any monetary value. Okay, when I say monetary value, means like, no, this doesn't have any memory space allocated to it. This is just a representation of it's a representation of a vehicle. You haven't really created a vehicle yet. You can't drive this one. If you want to drive, right, if you want to actually drive this vehicle in the road, right, you have to create an object for this one. How do you create this object? How do you create an object for a class? It's really simple. It's just this single line. Okay, usually we will do it in a single line. The reason why we do it in a single line is like, no, because once you do this, right, there is no value to it actually, because if you just do this, right, you still can't use VC1. Okay, you still haven't created an object, so you really can't use this one. That's why they usually do this in a single step. Okay, it's nothing wrong with doing multiple steps. It just adds it. Okay, so now in this line, right, you have declared a class, and then you have declared an object, and then created an object as well. Okay, that's all you have done, and then you have assigned certain properties to your object, and then you are doing certain operations on the object what you created. Okay, the same thing we can do it on VC2 as well. Okay, so if I type VC1 dot who am I, what type of car am I, and then if I type VC2, if I run this one is going to say BMW, and one is going to say Audi. Okay, as simple as that. Okay, this is just like a very high level definition of what is class and object, but this is the real definition as well. So from this only, like, no, all the things what we are going to build, right, everything we are going to build based on this only. So you should really clearly understand what is classes and objects. Okay, that is the reason why I'm covering only this one. In the next session, right, we are going to see what are what is really happening here. Okay, that's what we are going to bit deep into it, so that you will clearly understand how an object is created. Now I've shown you what I've told you what is an object and what is a class, and why you need an object to actually use those things, but I haven't told you exactly how an object is getting created here. In the next session, right, we will see how an object is getting created when we see constructors and a lot of other things as well. Okay, so this is really simple concept. Okay, now to summarize what is class means, like, class can have only two. Class is nothing but, first of all, it's a template. When you create a class, right, you haven't really done anything. You can't start using the class directly. You have just created a template of something. Okay, now class can have two things in it. One is when I said in the starting, right, for any item there is only two things is really important. One is operations, another is memory. Okay, in CPU, anything. Okay, think for example your computer itself. Like, now, what are the two main things what you got there? Like, now, you got is your main memory and hard disk. Another is your motherboard. Is the CPU. Okay, what's the really CPU does? CPU does is, like, no, it does certain operations on the memory. It accesses some values from the main memory or else your hard disk, and does some certain operations, display it on the computer, and save it back to the main memory or the mother or the hard disk. Okay, so in any item, if you think deep, right, basic two items, what is the most important thing is, like, no, one is memory, another is capability of performing operations on that memory. Okay, so that is the building block of a class. So in a class you just need two things. Only you can have only two things. Okay, what are those two things are? One is the properties. Properties nothing but variables. Another is methods. Methods is nothing but performing operations on the properties. Okay, so only two things that can be in a class. That's all. Variables and then methods. Nothing this thing. Okay, so we saw in depth what are the variables are and what are methods are. Okay, now so you still can't, once you create a class, right, you still can't use the class because you need to create, because class is nothing but just abstract representation, just a template or blueprint. To start using a class, right, you have to create an object for that class. Object is nothing but a state representation of that class. Okay, at any given time. Now to create an object, this is the way how you create an object. Once you create an object, right, how you create an object is just a class name, like how you create a normal integer. Okay, you do int here, right? It's exactly the same way, but additionally if you do int here, right, Java will automatically allocate two bytes to it. But for this one, right, for class, for object creation, right, for class creation, this thing alone is not enough, because you just declare it now. Actually, in primitive database, just declaration is enough, because automatically the definition also will happen. But in for creating a class, creating an object, just this part alone is not enough. You have to do this part as well. You have to really create an object. Okay, why I'm saying about this part, why I'm representing this as this part, is because I haven't explained to you what is really happening in the background here, because I'm going to explain that in the next session. Okay, that's all to it. Okay, so I assume you guys understood what is class and object. I really want an answer from you guys. Actually, you guys are okay with this, because this is really important concept. Actually, this is very basic thing. Do you guys grasp what I was saying? What is class and objects?
Yes, I understand.
Yes, Bala.
You guys got it, right? Okay.
Yes.
Because if you guys because why I'm asking you is like, no, because if you guys didn't understand this, I can explain it. I'm happy to explain because I really want you guys to understand this one. And then in the next session we will see what is constructors and what's happening in the background when we create an object. Okay, when we really create an object. Okay, we will see.
Just
that.
one question, Bala. So I want to just know how you access the VC1, accelerator or speedometer from the different class. So that's because they're in the same package, so you can still access them, or
those things, right? Those are called access modifiers. We haven't come there. We will cover those things. Don't worry. If I 1 second, let me open this. Where is access modifiers? Greg, you're always thinking way ahead. Actually, I got access modifiers here somewhere. Actually, oh yeah, here it is. Access modifiers. So once we see this one, right, you will understand how we are able to access it from this class, this file to here. Okay, because to answer that question, right, because you have declared as public, right, and then if you don't put, just for Greg, if you guys don't understand, means like, don't worry about it. If you don't put public or anything, means like, there is something called as default will happen. Default items, right, can be accessed within the same package. Okay, these two are in the same package by default. Okay, that's why you are able to access. But I will explain all this concept deeply in the upcoming sessions. Okay, once we cover that one. Okay.
Thank you, Bala.
No problem. We said that we will do something, right? What is that class? This is the one, right? Okay. So what we were trying to do is we were trying to. So I was supposed to count the number. Oh yes. It's counting the number of digits, right? Okay. Let's think of a way. Okay. Now, if you guys can think of logic, right, at the same time, right, let me know. Okay, because I still don't have a logic for this one. I'm going to think now. Okay, how to count it. If we do it, but oh, okay, I got away. think this should work. I think so. Let me try it out. Let me enter simple values. Okay, 6 and 8. Okay, it's good because it starts with 1. Just understand this. I don't want it in the next line. This one. Okay, I am going to enter value like 9834. Okay, it's 4. Let me try some other things. Just do it in reverse order. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This should be 6. Yes. Okay. Now, the logic is really simple here. Okay. So what I'm doing is like initially I told you guys about modulus operation, right? Arithmetic operation, similar to multiplication. So apart from multiplication, division, subtraction, addition, right? You got something called as modulus. So modulus means like now. So say for example 23. I'll just do it. Okay, 23 modulus of 10 is nothing but what is the remainder. If you divide this, right, what is the remainder is going to be. So 20 is the only divisible thing, and then remainder will be 3. So the modulus answer will be 3. So say for example if you get like 34, modulus of 6 means, so what is 34? Nearest to a divisible value. 30 is a divisible item. Okay, so remainder will be 4. So 4 will be the answer. Okay, as simple as this. Like think like this now. Okay, now think like 23 modulus of 100. What this will be, because 23 is not divisible by 100, so the answer will be 23. If the modulus base, right, is greater than the top upper one, means like now you'll get the whole thing actually, because you can't divide this one. So if you divide by 23 by 100 means like now the remainder itself is 23 and the answer is 0. That's it, because the value is 23 divided by 100 is going to be in 0 point. Okay, it's not going to be in 1 point or 2 point. Okay, it's going to be in 0 point. So if you divide 23 by 100, right, the remainder itself is 23 and the answer is 0. Same thing, if you divide like 345 modulus of 1000 means like no, you're going to get 345. But if you do 345 modulus of 100 means like no, you're going to get 45, because 300 is the nearest divisible value. Sorry, nearest divisible. Okay, that's why you're going to get 45. And we use this logic there. Simple as this. Okay. Now what's happened here is like no. So user has entered a value, and I've started the count, initialize the count as 1, and then I've done the mod initialize to 10. Okay. First, what I'm doing is like no, I'm taking a modulus of whatever the user has entered. Okay. Say for example, if the user entered 23 means, okay, 23 modulus of 10. Okay, this will be 10 in the starting. Okay, 23 modulus 10. What will be the result? Is I'll just copy this one. Okay, if the user has entered the value as say for example value is 45, okay, initially, and then the mod value is 10. Okay, so what will happen is like no, 45 modulus of 10 is you're going to get 5. Okay, so is it 5 is equal to what is value is 45? No, it's not. Okay, so this won't happen. Okay, it will come to this one. Now what will happen is like no, modulus will get will get multiplied into 10. So what will happen in the next step? Value will still same be 45. Modulus will become as 100. Okay, now execute this one. If you execute this one, right, value is 45 and what is mod is 100. So 45 divided by 100, we know that it's going to be 45 itself. So and value is 45. So it's 45. So what will happen is now this will happen. Now it will break out of this loop. Now it will come here and print it. What would have happened to the count is like now we have initialized count with 1, right? So this for loop, how many times it has executed? Only once it has got executed. Okay, in the second time it broke out. Okay, so only once this code would have been executed. So count has just been incremented by only 1. In the next time, right, it wouldn't have come here. It would have gone inside this if statement and just broke out, like come out of this if say while loop, okay, because we know that break will search for the nearest to while, uppest to while loop, sorry, not while loop, uppest loop, and then come out of the loop, okay. So that's what has happened here. Say for example, if you give bigger values, means like no, it will again do the same thing. Say for example, if you increment this by 2 more things, means like no, what will be the, again, if you take a modulus, right, first time it will be 5 only. So for you 5 is not equal to, sorry, I'll do something here. 45, 34, okay. So first time if you take a modulus, it will be, because the 4530 will be the nearest one, and then the remainder is 4. So 4 is not equal to 4534. Again, it will go to the next iteration. Mod will become 100. Now what will happen is, now 4534 divided by 100 is, remainder will be 34, because 4500 is the nearest divisible value. So again, this won't be equal to, so it will happen one more time. This will become 1000 in the next iteration, because every time in every iteration I'm multiplying modulus by 10, okay. So this will become as 534 now. Still it is not equal to, so it will go for second iteration, one more iteration. Now it will become, this will become as 10,000. Now this will become as 4534. All the while what would have happened is like, no, here in this iteration, right, count would have been 1. Count would have been incremented, because you started count as 1, right? So count would have been incremented by 1. So count would have become as 2 in this after end of this iteration. After end of this iteration, count would have become 3. After this iteration, count would have become 4. And during this iteration, what would have happened is like, no, this portion would have never got executed, okay. So this portion would have never got executed. Only it will come inside this one, and then it will break out of this loop, okay. So it will end here. It will end here, and then count will be printed out. So count will, what is the answer is 4. So the count of this value, how many number of digits are there in our value? It's 4. That's why the 4 is there. Okay. Simple as this one. I will upload this program also into this one. This will be easy to understand. Okay. I hope you guys understood. Okay. That's why. Are you guys okay with this? Do you guys understood the logic here? This is really simple one, right? This is not as complicated as this one, right? This is a simple logic. Okay. Okay, guys. Today's session is that's it, and then we will cover the object. We will see more deep into the objects about next week. Okay. If you still guys need any doubts, like now, contact me anytime in the WhatsApp or anything. If you have any doubts, or when you're doing for loop or anything like that, or call me itself. We can speak in the phone itself. Okay. It's not a problem. Okay. If I'm really busy, I will just let you guys know. Okay. Don't worry about it. Okay. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys.
Thank you.
On Monday. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.